All right, y'all. Welcome back to another back testing session. This is session 7, I believe, and we are working on July currently. So today starts Monday, July 14th. Let's see what we have on the calendar, and we'll dive in. So Monday, no news. So we have core CPI, PPI, core retail sales, and unemployment claims. So pretty light week in terms of red folders. I would expect to see some pretty good price action. So yeah, I guess let's dive in. I'll remove my face here, get me out of the way. There we go. All right. Cool. So let's clean up the charts here. Zoom out. Fresh view of a new week. And here we go on. So what do we have here? We have on the weekly, we have external range liquidity has been taken. We have this previous week's closing an expansion candle above this the prior week's high, which to some extent would indicate that there's a possibility that this could be, we could anticipate this gap not being retested immediately. So this might become a breakaway gap as possible. That gap would also be strong support. Being in a swing point, it would be a key fair value gap. So, you know, I mean, this current or the previous week's, last week's candle did close within this candle's range. Now that is a bearish indication. Excuse me. So kind of a, you know, a couple conflicting pieces right there on this time frame. Anything else we see? We did take the previous week's high, so that might mean it could want to push down, come back to that fair value gap. So we'll keep an eye on it. I'm leaning a little more towards retesting it because of how this candle closed. It didn't close above this one. So I'm leaning a little more towards a retest. All right, going into the daily, we can see the daily's kind of just looking like it wants to roll over, kind of starting to form a bit of an accumulation range here. We do have a volume imbalance down there, and I think we have bearish SMT up at these highs. But I'm typically pretty careful with shorting all-time highs. Not my favorite thing to do. We do have bearish SMT on the daily. We do have, you know, lots of inefficiency below. So I'm a little more bearish on this. So I'm wondering if the week kind of comes down and comes back up kind of thing. So we have bearish SMT, but we're also at all-time highs. So I'm pretty cautious about being bearish. Now 4 hours going sideways. So we don't like that. We can pretty much see this whole accumulation range since last Thursday. And on the 1 hour, kind of grinding down. Obviously, the 1 hour and the 4 hour can tend to be pretty similar. We are, you know, we do have a change in state of delivery on the 1 hour, making lower lows. The 4 hour does have a change in state of delivery, but there hasn't been enough time to like really see if it plays out. All right, so zooming in on the 15-minute. Oh, I'm still on Friday. Yeah. Okay. Well, that might change a thing or two. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, so here's how Friday closed, the compression candle. Then the new week candle opens up. I'm back on the weekly time frame, by the way. So let's see here. How are we gonna do it? We're gonna open, low, high, close. That's not a very big wick. So yeah, I'm kind of favoring a little more downside, just a little bit more. On the daily, we do have a volume imbalance on above price. And here's the volume imbalance is also the new week opening gap on the 4 hour chart. Want to look at ES and NQ again, or ES and YM at these lows. So this 2 a.m. candle did take liquidity. There's a bullish SMT, and it closed above. So here's a C1, C2, C3 candle. I mean, I would expect some expansion. We do have a bit of a gap to fill, but it's hard to say off the 4 hour chart whether it wants lower or higher to me. The 1 hour's grinding down. Okay, so we do have London session took Asia's low and Asia's high. I don't like that. That is a lower probability indication. Where's 12 a.m. and 9:30? Don't think we had any news Monday. No news. So it's possible that 9:30 is more one-sided delivery. Um, 10 minutes. I was going to fast forward on the 15-minute, but I'd like to see what this current macro does. So zooming in, kind of see some trend line liquidity / relative equal highs up in here. We do have this low. All right. All right, pre-9:30 is expanding, probably filling up that new week opening gap. Let's see what happens here at 9:30. Okay. Okay. Not some very pretty looking candles right there. So this did tap into this 5-minute fair value gap. We are pushing above the new week opening gap. The 15-minute has got a gap forming, so the 1 hour is pushing up above the gap here. I just see this 5-minute inversion. Or it's not a 5-minute, it's a 1-minute inversion off a 5-minute fair value gap. There's no SMT, so no go. So we do have this 3-minute gap right here. It's not going to even give anything, is it? Nope. All right, so this is where I'm feeling a little indifferent on the charts. I wanted more bearish delivery. Here, this taps down into a 1 hour gap, got this compression candle. So we do have bullish SMT. Look how YM is leading. All right, so no 4 hour level. It's kind of just still in this consolidation pattern. So this 15-minute close below, and then we got a super strong response. Nice liquidity grab. There's target wise, I'm struggling with the target. If the new week opening gap was still open, I mean, we do have all these highs. I guess it's the kind of thing where I'm a little bit mixed on my bias here, so we'll just go for it, I guess. I did say I wanted more sell side delivery, but it's also it's a very bullish market, so we'll see. More contracts. All right, so this is a breakaway gap. This point where 1R, I can go break even on my position. Let's see what happens. I think it's gonna come back and tap me. Yep. So here I went break even a little early, I felt. Well, it's starting to roll over a little bit. Ooh, the trade didn't go to 1R, so note to self. But it's also not distributing, so okay. Ooh, it would be in this trade all morning. That 3R right there, 3.02. There we go. So it would have been a winner. I went break even too early. I just kind of eyeballed 1R. Technically, I was wrong. And that was a break even trade, a break even winner. So right about there. So note to self here, I do need to be maybe a little more cautious. I got tapped out of a good trade here. And I've had a couple of things like this happen in the last few trades where my stop loss was wider than normal, causing me to hit break even versus TP. In other words, it came shy. If I had had a shallower TP like here, I would have won the trade. So yeah, that's three in a row where I've had a bit of a mechanical problem. And I mean, sure, the 1R is totally arbitrary, but in this case, it would have actually resulted in a winning trade. So, note to self: at this point, we are pushing into 11 o'clock, so we have a little more time in the morning session. And going sideways prior to lunch. Okay, so we'll zoom out to the 15. And we'll go to the PM session, 30 right there. Be nice to see some retracement. Oh, one candle too far, but it's okay. Okay. So we'll just go to there. I want to check this out. All right, so equal highs were taken. No tail on this 1 hour candle. So we do have some bearish SMT. There's a lot of reason why this short would work. I would much rather have looked for a long than to have, I mean, this is just way overextended. 15 minutes got a C2 and it's a second C2 candle, the 5-minute chart looking a little sideways. I don't think I'm going to short it. I'm going to tape read it. This is just super bullish. It would absolutely make sense though for this next 4-hour candle to open up, trade lower. So here's the inversion. Oh, it's 1:40. What time is that? 1:31. So it's a 1:40. So that's an allowed trade. I could take that. I just would much rather look for the long. And I'm trying to trade like I would in real life. I don't want to take trades that I wouldn't take in real life. Backtesting, I want to try to replicate the results as best as possible. So I'm pretty split on this one. I could go either way with it. I don't want to be calling tops and shorten right before all-time highs though. So if this were not all-time high territory, I probably would take it. It's a pretty nice setup. And so this would have been a break-even trade for me. So I would have marketed in on that. I'm assuming the next candle is going to go up, but let's take a look. I think it's going to go down further. So I should actually denote this trade. So here we tapped into a 15-minute gap. I wonder if there's any SMT. So there is an SMT, which meant I could have taken that trade. So I need to add that to my tracking sheet here for here's a hesitant trade that was a loser. And I'm going to say wanted deeper in discount before longing. So here we go. Look at how many of these trades were losers that I was hesitant about. Now I've also missed, well, that's not true. I haven't missed many. I just keep having mechanical things go wrong in my trades that keeps getting me tapped out at break even or not getting my 3R. So approaching 230, I got some relative equal lows down there. Just kind of ugly sideways. Okay. $15-minute barcode. Um, hmm. So here's a volume imbalance, no inversion. There's still going to be like a breaker. I imagine this trade's an okay setup because it's coming down into that 1 hour gap. But I don't have a model in here. There's this gap, but oh, just more sideways. Okay. Well, that's that then. Today there was one break-even trade. Let's review that. Break-even winner. I got tapped out before it ran to my targets. Right here. So lesson learned. Make sure it, I mean, gosh, it's hard to say, but make sure it is 1 hour before I go break even. Or at least that there was some kind of maybe retest. So tough call. I'll pay attention to this a little bit more. But yeah, break even on the day. All right, so let's move on. The 15th, we have 8:30 news, CPI, and clean this chart up a little bit here. Zoom out. So we're on the weekly here. Noting this fair value gap below previous week's high and low. Untaken. Currently forming bearish SMT up at these highs. So I'm moving on to the daily real quick. Daily's kind of going sideways here. I'd really like to see it move away at this point. I don't have much of a bias in here. All right, this would be the new day opening gap after it took these relative equal lows. The 2 a.m. candle swept the 22 o'clock candle. And let's look for, so we do have bullish SMT down at these lows. So here's, oh, did I do it again? Let's see here. Monday, July 14th. I did it again. I keep doing it, don't I? Yeah. Forgot to go to the next day's session. I keep doing that. Okay, let's try this again. So, okay. So the previous day closed bullish after sweeping liquidity, and overnight looks like it ran. So the 6 o'clock candle tapped into this fair value gap, and it's just pushing higher. We've now taken external range liquidity. Ideally, I'd like to see some retracement to internal range and then find a long. Will we get that? I don't know. All right, so zooming into the 15-minute. So we do have 12 a.m. below, which we typically want to sell into 12 a.m. or buy into 12 a.m. London's not convincing me that it's low on the day, so I think New York is going to make the low of the day. We shall see. I do not have a crystal ball. I wish I did. We do have news low, news high. Okay, 9:30. So we got this liquidity sweep up here. I don't really have anything to short, so I'm not interested in a short here. It would have played out. All right, news low has been swept. So here is a 2-minute fair value gap. So this tapped into a 1-hour fair value gap. Right down here, this 1-hour gap. So we do have bullish SMT. We have a 1-hour fair value gap. So we are super in premium. So there's this fair value gap, there's this fair value gap, there's this fair value gap right here. Super in premium. The morning is swept buy side. So I want longs, but not so, I'm not sure about this one. Although looks like YM did come down into here, into equilibrium of this range. Boy, that's a lot of deciding, huh? So that's 941, 942. I'm pretty split on this. I'm trying to decide if what I would do in real time. I think in real time I'd be looking at this saying I'm not certain how much liquidity there is above here. This candle took that high, but I'm also bullish. It's just not as deep into discount as I was wanting. Time-wise, it's actually outside of macro, so technically I shouldn't do anything. Trade's going sideways anyways. I do like how it's creating more liquidity now. It is 10:05. It swept that low. So there is no inversion. No inversion. Yeah, there was no inversion there. There is an inversion here. Just have a real hard time shorting all-time highs. So we have a 15-minute change in state of delivery, rebalance to this 15-minute gap. I'm okay letting this go. I don't really know what it wants to do right now. So I would have been stopped out on that trade. I guess I should be documenting these here. Write this down. Don't trust shorts. Long was outside of macro, and then I had no IFVG. All right, approaching 11 o'clock, coming down to midnight open. There's a volume imbalance. There's no impulse and inversion right down there. I want to see more of an impulse. Big old 2-minute gap, but also all this liquidity down below. Now it did come down into that lower fair value gap. I like that. There's a tailless candle. I don't like that. Currently there is bullish SMT. YM is heading for sell side. So I don't like this setup. There's a 2-minute gap here. Would have been this right there. Yeah, so nothing right there, really. Let's go ahead and skip forward. Let's go to 130. There we go, some displacement lower. It's the 13 o'clock. There we go. Ooh, maybe I just missed it. No, I don't think so. Let's take a look in detail. I do like all this trend line liquidity it's formed. We still have bullish SMT. It's been a high resistance liquidity run today, but look at all this trend line liquidity. Now, it doesn't have to go for it right now, but it gives a real nice reason. And it would also be New York low of the day if it were to do that. But I want to be cautious. We just swept all-time highs overnight. I know it's boring for entertainment purposes, but right there. So it would have been outside of macro. All right, let's just click forward. So that was it outside of macro. I could have taken that breaker, I suppose. I didn't think about that until later. So missed that trade. So I'm allowed to take breakers in that kind of scenario. I just forget sometimes. Okay, I'm going to call it. This was the reversal that I was looking for. At this point, I'm a little hesitant on this whole day. Just being that it took all-time highs overnight. I want to see price do something after that. So what's this, Tuesday? No trades? Is that what day we're on? Yeah. So Tuesday, no trades. How big is this move? Let's check this out. Pretty reasonable. Took out a ton of liquidity, so that's 520 ticks, 130 handles, and it's coming down how far? Way past that gap on the 15. So I think it's bearish at this point. Not that there couldn't be a retracement long. This is ugly. I had no model to short up in here. Oop. So I want to take a look at that. I mean, we are way down into discount. We took that tailless candle on the 15. So close below that 4-hour fair value gap. I don't balance this one out. I don't like a long now. I'm not into that. So if this is a long, let's see if there's any SMT. So we do have SMT. YM is selling off. The markets are decup. No, they're not. Sorry. They're in sync. My feeling is I'm going to be offside on this one. This just gives me vibes of the first couple months of price action this year, where it was bearish and it would come down into like these deep discounts and just stomp on me. So I'm going to set this one out too. So this one, we're going to call this one I mean, this is a valid trade, valid setup, no take. Or wait, is it a valid setup? There's no 1 hour. There's no 1 hour or 4-hour gap too. I was right. I was thinking about this 15-minute swing, this previous hour low. That tailless candle. And previous 4-hour low. So it's valid. And look at that, a winner. Yep. Nope. Oh, I don't know. No, that would have been a break even. And if anything, looks like a short. And I never defined in my rules if I allow a 5 minutes, so let's see. Use of a 5-minute fair value gap for a continuation short or long. I use 15-minute gaps. There's no bearish SMT though. I wonder if I would have zoomed out on a different time frame. So here was a 3-minute closure above this 3-minute inversion. Not very clean. I would be pretty hesitant on that one too. Oh wow, look at that. Okay, so no model in here. There's an inversion, but no higher. Well, there's 12 a.m. Does that count for anything? I also don't see it, so no. Look at that. Hmm. I'm not interested. There's no higher time frame levels that I can see. And it just sells off. There's a 5-minute fair value gap, no 15-minute. I need a continuation model. All right. I think it's the same thing here. So here's this 1 hour gap. It's already been used. It's created these relative equal lows. Um, let's see, ES and YM. And there's bullish SMT. I just really don't see a reason for it to go higher. So I am going to count this as a valid long. Don't trust. All these equal tail candles right down in there. I'll put my position tool. Um, Oh, wow. So, oops, come on. Why'd you do that? It's not. Oh, the candles are still printing. I see. I clicked the mouse way too many times. Holy moly. My computer's pretty slow. It doesn't like all these tabs I got open and running video recording and all of that good jazz. So it's not TradeZella going slow if you're interested in TradeZella. It's my computer. I really need to. I have an old MacBook Pro, and it does everything fine except for this recording. And it's funny, it actually records streaming better than backtesting, like live streaming. It seems to like that. Holy moly. Oh, do I have it on play mode? I had it on play mode. Pause. I see. I clicked the play button and not the forward button. So that is part of what's going on here. So this would have been a booger of a trade. It would have been, I would have been break even on it. Which we're almost to the PM session anyways. So let's mark out 12 right there. So there's the lunch session. Let's mark out 2. Has already happened. Yep. So 2 o'clock is currently where we're at. So there's going to be no trade in here for me, I'm guessing. But it does look like it might go for this TP right up in here. So I'm just going to zoom out to the 15-minute chart. Let's fast forward 15 minutes. There we go. It eventually does hit it. So there we go. I missed. So reviewing today, no trades. There was no model to get in on a short. I would have been interested. So this was a valid setup I did not take. It would have been break even for me. And then here was a valid setup I did not take. Would have been a winner, but would have been brutal. So yeah, boy, oh boy. No trades Wednesday. All right, so let's keep going to Thursday. 8:30 news, unemployment claims. And yeah, go to the next start of the next session. And I want to zoom out again. I'm definitely struggling a little bit this week with confidence. You know, the all-time highs are throwing me. We swept on Tuesday. We swept these equal all-time highs, came back down. Now it looks like we're going for more. So struggling with whether to be bearish or bullish in this, which is okay. Like in time, I'm sure I'll get better at that. But for the moment, I'm at least doing pretty well, and I'm preserving capital, not having red days or red weeks. So that's good too. Yeah, keep going. So overnight, 10 p.m. swept some buy side liquidity, and then it looks like the 2 a.m. candle took buy side, but didn't want to come down any further. There's no tail on that candle. Came down into this fair value gap, so looks bullish to me. 1 hour's floating up. We do have, some trend line liquidity forming below these lows, keeping note of that. And yeah, run to the 15-minute chart now. So here is midnight. 9:30. And we are looking like, so here's Asia, and the purple is London. So for me, I feel like just following London's trend, pre-market took the low of London, and now it's almost back up to here. And all-time highs are just like magnets. So I'm just anticipating that it's not going to want to retrace, that it's just going to want to keep going. Or not retrace deeply, put it that way. We do have some juicy equal lows. And then we also have London session right there, high. And so pre-930 is just distributing already. So let's see. All right, buy side is taken, London high is taken. Geez, I paused for a quick second and thought about this right here, because this would have been a valid trade for me, assuming there's SMT, but we took buy side, and then I'm okay with taking a trade in the 850 to 910 macro. But then I thought, well, I don't want to short near all-time highs, and look at that. I feel like that pattern keeps repeating. I don't want to short all-time highs, and then the trades keep playing out. All right, so 930 is distributing for sell side. Ooh, didn't close above that for that inversion yet, did it? That's okay. I'm learning, that's the whole point of why I'm doing this. It's just to learn. And you learn by seeing the patterns. And you see the patterns by collecting the data, like over in the spreadsheet. I can see the patterns. Look at this week. There's patterns here. Last week, the patterns were, there was only a few setups, and my patterns were twice if my stop loss was twice my stop loss was sized larger than normal, and it cost me. These are the patterns we learn from. All right, so there's 940. All right, we tapped down into this 1 hour fair value gap. 4 hour fair value gap, but we did take buy side. I'm still favoring longs though, even though buy side was swept. Let's look at the correlating assets. So YM is just blasting off. We have bullish SMT. So I could mark it in on this candle. It's a little ugly, but I feel like it's going to go. So here's an IFVG. We have a 1 hour, 4 hour fair value gap. We have SMT. We have high probability targets. We're in the macro. We have a stop hunt. So there's all that. Let's So here's the cons on this trade that I'm looking at. Really, the higher time frame looks nice for me. What I'm not liking is I'm not liking these somewhat equal lows down in here. So let's pull up ES and YM on the 1 minute. So there's no SMT that I'm seeing. So I think it's a go though. I think it's close enough. I'll also add this I'll consider this a trade that I'm hesitant on. It's not totally perfect. All right. So 1R is hit. Right, this is where I keep, maybe I'll tuck up my stop some. At this point, that's far enough that we can go break even. And that's a little more than 3R. I'm not supposed to trail my stop, right? I forgot, or I'm just remembering that. So, okay, I'll take it. Let's see what else it does. And it just keeps going. This might have been one of those good instances where I would have been better off having a fluid take profit and just trailing my stop loss. Let's see. Well, maybe. Maybe I would have gotten the same. Cool. So that was a W. Let's see here. $10.21. See what price does. See if it comes for buy side. We got these nice. See these equal highs right there. Like it's gonna go for them. I'm pretty sure. Right there. Tick them. Ooh, look at that. I'd be curious if I even have that marked correctly. Oh, there's all this liquidity above. It was so juicy. How did it get that far away? And then we have buy side above too. 11 o'clock. And there we go. Cool. All right, so there we go. Up on the day. I guess let's keep going. We have no news on this Friday. Which I'm fine skipping the PM session given that the all-time highs were taken. So here the day took that previous all-time high right there. There's nothing prior to it. So, and then we took this previous day high. I'm a little bearish on the day. I'm wondering if it's going to come back down and balance out this inefficiency, this gap forming between those candles. 4 hours taking external range liquidity. So we can seek internal range liquidity now, somewhere in this range. 1 hour is just sideways. All right, so here's 12 a.m. Looks like London took Asia's high. There's no local, no, there is a little bearish SMT. All right, there's our 930. All right, so here's 916. I just kind of want to look at this real quick. It looks like a continuation short to some extent. There's these volume imbalances, a suspension block right there, what that came into. Or maybe some continuation towards sell side. It's outside of a macro. Too close to 930. Look at that. Oh, what's it going to do? Got all those equal lows below it. Holy moly. It's a little while before 930. Oh, wow. Okay. Unless, do I have 930 marked wrong? No, I don't. That is volatile. Wow. See what's ES and YM are up to. So YM is doing the opposite. They're decoupled. Okay. Wow. Is that the so it swept the all-time high again? Interesting. So here we have a big bearish SMT. The 1 hour appears to be rejecting. 15-minute didn't close above there. We'll just tape read this idea. That's something like that. Oh, wow. So I need to add that to my list of trades that I hesitated on. Okay, got that logged. I don't really think I see a short in here for me. Yes, there was an inversion. It just had too much back and forth price action in it for me to consider. And really, I should mark that too. I don't know. Should I? I can't decide. I should add that to my list of trades I was hesitant to take. Excuse me. Okay, so morning session is just seek and destroy. All right, so 10:30ish. Possible time for a reversal, but I don't like this price action. It's kind of going into a consolidation. Boy, oh boy. So here's one. Tapped into this 1 hour fair value gap. So there's no SMT from any of these swings. There is a 15-minute SMT between this candle and this candle. And if it hadn't taken this equal high, that would look a lot nicer to me. So I'm going to add this, consider this a trade I'm not interested in taking. Let's mark it out anyways. We have one of the reasons also too, so we have, here's a tailless candle. Here's equal lows. Here's a tailless candle. Technically it's outside of the macro, so I guess I don't get to judge this one. So now it's inside the macro. It's swept these lows. Those equal lows, leaving this tailless candle. But here's this consolidation within the model. I like to see more V-shaped recoveries. In my experience, these consolidation ones, they do not tend to play out very well. But we can see what it does. I might do something like this. It's the timing wise, the narrative works for going long. I just don't trust it. And look at this. It's gonna go, huh? So I'd be break even on the trade. Now my question here is actually, did I place my stop right? I would actually typically go below the candle. So it would have been 3R. So I'm going to add that as an ugly one that played out. So I was hesitant and it played out in one. It was model was ugly with consolidation and tailless candle. So it's increasing. It's still 37% of these trades have been winners, which isn't a high enough percentage for me to be more aggressive so far. Now, if that climbs and changes, well, yeah, if that number, I think 35% is break even for 3 to 1, maybe even slightly less. So if this pushes more into like 40, well, maybe I should be taking more risky trades. So yeah, there was that one. No tick. And now it's into the lunch hour, so let's zoom out a little bit. Let's see what the PM session looks like. And that's against order flow. Well, sort of. Depending on how you look at it, you could be bullish, right? Model could have been in there too. I feel like the reversals have been coming earlier than 1:30. They've been coming at 1 o'clock. I keep noticing that. So I missed this. I wasn't, we were clicking through the 15-minute candle. So there's 2 o'clock. I think this thing's bearish. To me, this is an accumulation, a stop hunt. And I think this is, I don't know, my gut is telling me this is the start of bearish order flow for at least a little while. So I don't feel like I'm very interested in taking a trade. Let's see what happens. $245-ish. Just kind of going sideways. So I think we'll end it there with no trades for this day. All right, so let's review the week. Up 3R on the week, which, I'll take it. I'm actually relatively disappointed though. And when I look at this over here, I'll show you. So here is this week of July 14th. On Monday was a break-even trade that should have been a winner. I broke my rules and I went stop loss to break even before 1R. And had I not done that, it would have been a winner. Now on Tuesday, I missed the PM trade and I could have taken it as a breaker, but I didn't think about it until it was too late. So there was another winning trade missed. And then here was a trade I didn't trust, but it was a winner. So is that true? No model. That's not true. No take model. So I got to adjust this to say no take model. Thursday was a winner. I'll take that, 3R. And then Friday, I didn't take the model. There's an 1140 trade. I just didn't take it and didn't trust it. So the themes for this week were we were at all-time highs, but there were more setups than I could have taken, that I could have taken wins on. And the mistake that I made was basically the trade on Monday, moving my stop to break even before 1R. So ultimately, between all of these trades, I could have been up an extra 12R instead of 3R. So that would have been 15R. And that's similar to the prior week. I could have been up 9R instead of 3R. I was so close to being up 3R instead of 9R. And that's important to note because the previous week, my stop losses were larger than normal. So I kind of broke my rules and how I do it, and that cost me. And then same here, this week, I broke my rule and I went break even before 1R. It was on accident. I thought it was 1R and then I went break even. It was like 0.8R. I went break even on that trade and it cost me 3R. Now, these other trades, I'm not so concerned about because I didn't trust them. And I think there's a degree of this discernment that we have to, a fine line of discernment we have to balance. Now, and the reason why that's important is because I'm tracking those trades where I'm hesitant on them and they generally lose. Only if we look at the last 5 trades is it actually started to be more in my favor. And so I'm noticing this, especially look at this period. There was none of these trades played out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row. None of those trades that I was hesitant on played out. They were all losses. 0 is a loss. So maybe I could even do it like this. Zeros are a loss. However, at this point, it is starting to look like these winning trades that are in green are potentially starting to outweigh the losing ones. And it's somewhere around this zone in which it actually becomes profitable. I think it's 35% is break even for me in terms of a win rate. So if we're above 35%, I need to start thinking about maybe being more, liberal in taking some of these less than perfect setups. So yeah, I guess that concludes this backtesting session. Just kind of consistent grind on this month so far. 3, 6, up 7R on the month. That's okay. I'll take it. There's a lot more. There's way more green than red. I'll take that. Trying to think if there's anything else I want to add. No, just trading all-time highs. I'm noticing is a little dicey for me, which is something I need to get more used to because guess what? It's NQ. It's always at all-time highs. All right, so I'm gonna wrap this session up here, and I'll see you in the next one, hopefully.